My name is Pratima. I'm studying critical conservation at the Graduate School of Design. I'm from India and I don't have any particular spiritual tradition that I follow, but that only leaves me to draw deep from a wealth of other sources. I work in the conservation of culture and heritage, and that's significantly about conserving material heritage, but of late it's been about the conservation of intangible heritage. So I work with a lot of marginalized communities and indigenous tribes in order to better consolidate their narratives for future preservation. The program is extraordinarily structured to draw deep both from a top-down and a bottom-up perspective. It really draws on the experience of a number of mentors from significant disciplines, as well as the knowledge of specific cultures drawn from the students who are part of the program. And so both this top-down and bottom-up approach look at the underlying spiritual tradition and draws deep on them in order to use that for a future peace practice. The program talks about being the change you wish to see in the world, and I find that actually the most significant part of the program because it removes the onus on the other and allows you to draw it into yourself, and you take up the responsibility for changing the world within. And by doing so, you start to reflect quite consciously on what it is that you can do in order to effect outward change. So by just transferring change as a seed that you first sort of sow in yourself and the ripples spread outward, I feel like it's a very significant part of any sort of transformative activity, because you stop yourself from critiquing and move into a space of action, but from within. Perhaps the most significant for me was just the fact that the program offered a kind of oasis of contemplative time in a very hectic schedule, and it gave me time to sit back and reflect not just on the events unfolding around me, but on the past and the future in a really safe space. It offered me the space to do that in the context of knowing fully well that there were other people who were uniquely positioned to help me carry out my aims. So it offered me a sort of duality of both within and without, where it gave me a quiet space to reflect, and if that reflection came out into a practice, I had the people necessary to help me pull that off. It brought into the fore invisible things that I'd never considered looking at up until the program made it visible for me. So the concept of dignity, for example, so fundamental to recognizing somebody else's humanity, was something largely invisible to me until the program brought it forth. And so just by introducing into that range of visibility subjects that I'd never encountered before, that was an extraordinary insight. But to see them now and inculcate them gives me the strength to look at aspects of leadership that are otherwise invisible in conventional studies of leadership, and that was quite extraordinary. I think one of the things that I enjoyed about the program was largely that it gave me a universal language. By seeing the fact that people from different spiritual traditions were really talking all about the same thing, gave me access, or gave me a common ground for broaching different subjects with people of different spiritual traditions, but with the same underlying principles. And in order to see that we're all talking about the same thing using different language or using different constructs was very liberating. I plan to apply the wealth of all the knowledge I've learned in this course in two specific ways. One is during my time here at Harvard in the Initiative for Sustainable Peace. I hope to transform all of this sort of formless, intangible knowledge into tangible projects on the ground that look at the realm of peace from a variety of different media as well as disciplines. In my own personal work, which is to do with conflict negotiation in marginalized tribes and forest communities in India, I hope to use these tools in order to better affect communication between those who are marginalized by the systems that marginalize them.